Number 5. The first time he went to the hospital for himself. After dinner with the kids and cleaning up the kitchen, Daniel decided to go to the hospital, though he wasn't sure what they could actually do for him. He called Olivia and Emma downstairs and gave them careful instructions. By the time he arrived at the hospital, it was already dark. He got out of the car and walked towards the emergency entrance. February was still bitterly cold. The wind quickly numbed his ears. Patches of uncleared snow remained on the ground, frozen into ice. He walked carefully. It was the first time he had ever come to the hospital for himself. A young man sat at the registration desk, his skin dark, face worn with exhaustion, eyes barely open. He took Daniel's health card, tapped a few keys on the keyboard, glanced at him, and asked what was wrong in a flat, heavy voice. Daniel paused. He wasn't sure how to explain it. Fidgeting a little, touching his chin, he spoke quietly. About a month ago, sometimes I had thoughts about suicide. The young man's eyes snapped wide open. He stared at Daniel. Not that I would actually do it, Daniel added quickly. Just when I couldn't sleep at night, sometimes the thought would come. During the day, it was fine. Why? My wife wants a divorce. I guess it's been a lot of pressure. The young man nodded, looked back at the screen, and kept typing. I don't have those thoughts anymore, Daniel added. The young man didn't seem to hear him. A female nurse, wearing a mask, came over to check his temperature, blood pressure, and heart rate, and asked what symptoms he had. Daniel thought for a moment. Nothing serious, really, he said. I just can't sleep. It feels like something is pressing down on my chest. No appetite. I keep wanting to take deep breaths. I can't sit still. I always want to go outside and walk. The young man kept typing on his keyboard. Finally, Daniel was handed a number tag and told to wait in the hallway. As he turned around, he noticed the young man and the nurse exchange a quick glance. He had barely sat down when his number was called. Slightly surprised, Daniel stood up and followed the nurse deeper into the emergency department. They passed through several corridors, both sides lined with waiting people. Some sat with their heads down, some closed their eyes, and others stared blankly at the ceiling. They came to a room where a man who looked like a security guard sat watching a monitor. The guard stood up and pushed open the inner door. It was another room containing nothing but a medical bed. The nurses told him to wait and left. The door slid shut slowly. The moment it latched, it made a heavy, metallic clink. Daniel sat on the bed, looking around. The floors, walls, and ceiling were all pale yellow, completely bare. A security camera sat in one corner. On the wall behind him was a metal roll-up shutter. He stared at it, as if someone might be brought in from the outside and locked in here. A row of fluorescent lights overhead glowed a harsh white. He took off his jacket. He pulled out his phone to check the time. Then he dialed Olivia and reminded her what to do. I know already. In the background, he could hear Jadon shouting while playing games. He hung up, stared at the phone for a moment, then tapped on Vivian's number. I'm at the hospital. I might be late. Could you go back a little earlier? The kids are alone. He spoke calmly. The other end of the line was loud, filled with the sounds of singing and clinking of billiard balls. What's wrong with you? There was almost a trace of laughter in her voice. I'm fine, just at the hospital, waiting. I'm not sure. I'll try. The call disconnected. The room was dead silent. No sound from the outside could get in. Only the faint humming of the lights remained. After a while, the door was pushed open. A Chinese-Canadian doctor walked in, very young and wearing glasses. He looked at Daniel's chart and asked a few questions. Then he looked up, watching Daniel intently, and said, You're fine. He scribbled a few notes on the paper and told him to keep waiting for the psychiatrist. The door closed. The room fell silent again. Daniel sat there. Fragments of images seemed to flash through his mind, one page after another, moving quickly, then vanishing. He suddenly stood up, took out his phone, and snapped a photo of the room. After a long time, an old white man walked in, his head balding. After introducing himself, he flipped through the file, looked up, and gave Daniel a brief smile. Daniel, I think you're okay. Daniel nodded. The corners of his mouth twitched, but he didn't smile. What do you do for work? My wife and I run a company together. Why does she want a divorce? She says I don't talk to her. The old man paused, his eyes widening slightly as he spread both hands in the air. You live together every day. What's there to talk about? Daniel shrugged. He didn't know what to say. You have kids? 3. The oldest is 15. The youngest is 5. My God. The old man shook his head. Woman, huh? Neither of them spoke. As Daniel was leaving, he noticed a monitor outside showing the room he had just been sitting in. By the time he got home, it was already 2 in the morning. The living room light was still on. He gently pushed open the girl's bedroom door. Inside, snores rose and fell. Returning to his own room, he found Jadon splayed out across the bed like a gecko, his arms and legs spread wide. Daniel gently moved him into a position and pulled the blanket over him, then lay down beside him. After a while, he finally started feeling sleepy. Just then, the sound of the garage door opening came from downstairs. His eyes opened again. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to the Stories by Henry on Substack for more. See you in the next one.